So depending on the conditioning and the condition that has been conditioned of the person who's listening to this, they may like, I can't just not allow myself to be abused and be in the presence of the tantrum. But what I saw within the person who steps off is they are embodying honor, respect for self. You know, I honor and respect myself enough to not be in the presence and permit this abuse. Because me staying here is signing off. My silence is the consent.
Or your cussing and acting up and yelling at them is, now you both crazy.
That's right. And say to the tango.
Now war is afoot. Yeah. And anything can happen in war.
Nietzsche said that you could tell much about a man's character by how much truth he could tolerate, which is very interesting. You know, there's an idea in the great Western tradition that the truth is the way and the path of life, and that no one comes to the Father except through the truth. I believe that to be the case because I don't think that you can manifest who you are without the truth. And so I think it's literally and metaphorically true that the pathway to who you could be if you were completely who you were is through the truth. And I would say, and so the truth does set you free, but the problem is that it destroys everything that isn't worthy in you as it sets you free, and that's a process of burning.
The arm is going to be like the gear stick, right? It's going to communicate to me, okay? So I'll show you how it works. It's pretty cool. Okay, arm up. Okay, so just hold strong for me. Just hold. Good. I want you to say, my name is Athena.
My name is Athena.
Hold. Okay, so it locks because it agrees, okay?
Yeah.
Now I want you to say, my name is Bob.
My name is Bob. Yes.
It unlocks because it doesn't agree. Now say, my name is Athena again.
My name is Athena.
And hold. Good, it stays strong. Now I want you to think of a pleasant memory, something that makes you happy. Maybe even going to this retreat and just, going to this retreat, how exciting it's going to be just to get away and hold. Good. And thinking about something that bothers you.
Yeah.
And hold. Good.
Yeah.
And thinking about that retreat again and how exciting it's going to be and hold. Good. All right. So that's just an example of how the emotions play a massive part in our body.
Welcome to Call for the Truth. This is Tarvars of the Sun, and I am LaOta of the Sun, and today our topic will be the truth. So we are calling for the truth, we're being in the truth, and we're going to ask Tarvars to bring us into the truth.
Well, certainly. And we encourage you all who are viewing to join us in the call for the truth. Shall we call forth the frequency of truth to come forward? Shall we call forth the frequency of truth? Shall we call forth the frequency of truth? Shall we call to see the truth in all that we see? Shall we call to hear the truth in all that we hear? Shall we call to speak the truth, calling forth the courage to speak the truth? Shall we call forth nothing less than the truth to come forth in our experience?
Thank you, Tarvars, for bringing us into this frequency. This topic is so relevant to a world where everything's fake news and not the truth. So we want to talk a little bit about what happens to us individually. What happens to our sliding out of the truth into the next lower octave? What is that when someone asks us something and we say something that doesn't resonate as fully being what is? So let us kind of identify what the truth is.
So there's many different examples, so many different directions that we can go in. And the first thing that comes to mind is the normalization of the lie within our society, our everyday experiences. How many times have you went to the store and say, how you doing? I'm good. How about you? Oh, I'm good too. And both of you inherently know that you're lying. You know that cashier's not having a good day. And she or he knows you ain't that great either. We're just being, what do you call it, cordial, but in reality we're being the lie. And often I've had conversations with cashiers when they say, well, I can't complain Because I was like, yeah, what good is that going to do, right? And you're like, yeah, because nobody want to hear my complaints. And then they would say, because I don't want to hear no one else's complaints. But we lie, though. We lie about our state of being. And it's, again, normalized. We just go about our day, we play along with the lie. We engage the lie. And one of the things that I learned through you is that when we lie, our literal physicality is weakened. Our spiritual, our mental, emotional, physical immune system drops when we lie. Would you speak on some of this?
There is quite a bit of evidence in many trials that have been run that show that, well, I should begin by saying, we humans on Earth, as well as every other organic creation being, are established in truth. So how we came to be is the precision and the accuracy of the truth of creation. And when, as time has gone on, when we don't fully adhere to the divinity of the creation, of the accuracy and precision of the truth in which we were designed, then we become less than the truth or become the lie. So what the studies show is that muscle strength changes. So kinesiology and muscle testing is an excellent example. These things are taught in university now. People get degrees in kinesiology. The reality is that when someone says to you, what is your name? And you say the name that you understand yourself to be, you become stronger. But if you say your alias that you've been calling yourself in the summer while you're working out who you really are, you're going to be weaker. The muscle system itself does not recognize the integrity and the congruency of the truth of your words. In the same way that if you put electromagnetic frequencies within your within the area around your body, like a telephone or a computer, since it is not created in the exquisiteness and the precision and accuracy of creation, it is less than what you are. It is less than being established in truth. It was established in something else.
When we introduce ourselves to the lie, such as a cell phone, not only does it emit this field that weakens, we become weak.
Absolutely.
Also, like property clearing classes in the early years, you would do a live kinesiology muscle testing. Now expound to build a picture. So you'd have a person standing up, and you have to extend your arm out and try to resist someone. And usually it would to really drive the point, have someone big and tall and strong, maybe someone smaller to do the resisting test. And they would resist initially, but then we would introduce a cell phone into their field. And you'd have this little person make, with two fingers, this bigger person's arm drop all the way down. And everyone's astonished. The big guy, the small person is astonished, like, oh my gosh. And seeing, again, the truth of when we are introduced to the lie or lower fields, the physicality weakens.
There's been a lot of pushback against those kind of things we did early on for those who cannot see the connection between truth and lie and falsehood and weakness. But it remains, whether empirical science sees it or not, it is true that as you are in your integrity of who you and what you are stronger. And this is all available through logic, reason, and deduction. That we can understand when a person is less strong because of the environmental factors around them. So even though those things are things that were very effective when we did, there's been a large pushback from those who refuse to think that you can be influenced by the morphic field at science. And what is obvious to us that we all have fields around us. That when we step into someone's field, we can feel that it's measurable, it's calculatable. It's something that science is aware of, and several different scientists have worked on it. Many tests have been done. And this conversation is important because we want to talk about the clarity of organic creation divinity and the power that it has in the face of movements to reduce or to replicate what creation has done without the information that creation has.
Yes. Copycats masquerading. What you're sharing is bringing to the conversation I had, and he was asking me this question: like, how do you not be alive? How do you raise above it and move out of your field? And I was sharing with him, first you got to understand who and what you are.
Mm-hmm.
We are beings of frequency, vibration, and resonance. And I actually used an example that he gave, because he gave some example of him feeling the presence of darkness, some experience with his wife was giving birth at the hospital. He felt something's off. And I used that. I said, you felt information. This is off. Something's not right about this. And again, the divinity, the biology, the biotech that we have, that was divinely designed, can use logic, reason, deduction to distinguish what's in the field.
Yes.
So it's even better than the technology that's been produced out here.
That I think it's important that we know that we live in technology, but we live in divine technology.
Yeah.
No, we are not our bodies. We are traveling around in them. They were designed for us by our ancient ancestors, and they knew what they had been doing. And this is the vehicle that we travel in, and because it's in the material reality, it doesn't usually last forever, but it can. If we were to speak to the level of truth that could be, it could be inexhaustible.
Yes.
And we all know that in fable and in myth and in spiritual concepts, but it's a reality. So what we're saying is that the technology that we have produced is a mere shadow of the technology that we actually are. And that it is, it will be proven to be unfortunate for those who think that we're at the pinnacle of evolution of humanity and all knowingness, and that we should now become part of the level of technology that we exist in, that it's contaminating our environments and our homes and really affecting all of nature. That maybe we're not at the height of our evolutionary growth. Maybe there's room for us in the truth of more.
I agree.
I think part of the lie is that we're busy giving ourselves high fives and patting ourselves on the back for being where we are, which is wonderful, but it's not all there is. And so until we get a little further along, as we move towards more elevation, more exaltation in our mental, spiritual, and physical growth, we will be able to access more of truth, because truth is not a done thing. Truth is informed by many things. So when you see 2 frames on a picture, that may not give you the full picture of the truth of the experience. And that's why we have to have some level of logic and reason, deduction, work with our brains and work with that which has been proven. There used to be, I was taught, fact plus fact plus fact equals truth. And in that context, that is a context that you can use at that level, at the beginning levels. That if I have enough facts that add up to, you walked into the room, you opened the door, you stood on the rug, you spoke to me, I have enough facts to say that's the truth, that you were here. That may not be all that's needed, but that is a beginning space. Where we get into more issues is how people perceive their religious, political, or position in how they view themselves. Because in that case, there is a saying, and it is true, that when you call for truth, be prepared for war. Because if you start telling the truth, you're going to go to war. That's someone.
I think many people who, especially since the year 2020, leaning into the truth, they bumped up against the angry mob, whether it's their families, their society at large, and it continues to happen. I also see it on a scale where, let's say, clients, for example, many of the clients who see us, we help them navigate circumstances of being aggressed. And oftentimes it's happening with family members, people who are very close in, so they're compromised because I love this person, all these memories, but every time I'm with them, they're sticking me in the kidneys with their knife, mentally, emotionally, and energetically. And so having to step up to be the truth, which is, it may look like I'm no longer available to take this abuse. I'm no willing to enable your behavior or the darkness in me that allowed and permitted it. And usually the others raising hell, like, oh no, you're not who you think you are. Why you not letting me abuse you? So there is a reaction. Even science says for every action is an equal opposite reaction. And I think these type of everyday dynamics within our relationships speak to that.
Yes, it's as the human collective, through all of the many earths and all of the many generations, have taken ownership on each other in such a way where people feel they have the right to whoever and whatever you have. I have the right to your credit if you get credit and you live in my house. I have the right to your energy and resources. If you know how to do this, it's mine. It's my grandson says, that's mine. Whatever he sees that he likes is mine. And so we have that morphic field of where the parent looks at the adult daughter and says, well, you're mine, you'll do what I say. And your children will do what I say because you're mine, they're mine. By extension, I'm not yours, but you are mine.
It only works one way, not the...
And so this is what happens in families a lot, and in relationships and love affairs and friends. All of these things happen mostly because of the many, many, many lifetimes of enslavement, of not being in honor, respect, and gratitude to another. So there's never the respect for the allegiance from another person to be with you. There should be an honor that you are part of something, not that you now can grab all of the power and wield it in your behalf and nobody else matters. So that's kind of what we see, and most of us see that in our relationships with family. Not everyone, but most people do see this misunderstanding of what it means to be family. Yeah. Instead of being in support of exaltation, there's this idea, you need to do what I say. Because what I have proven myself by whatever position I have gained, that I am the one who knows and you are the one who does not know and may never learn, so you must do what I say, or I will come against you in what I think about you. And so that's the attack of, so to say, the law. And this is directly related to the truth of who you are. So we are encouraging everyone who listens to this to look at the idea that you are a divine being established in truth. And in the establishment of truth, you have the right to stand up in your truth and be, my father wanted me to be a secretary. And that wasn't appealing to me. But I had the right to flunk typing twice. To avoid having any ability to be a secretary.
Can't do it, Dad. Try it twice.
Yes, that's the way that happened. Because he was so insistent that he was the truth of what should happen for my life. Yeah. And so I was able to sidestep that. Not everyone is able to flunk out as easily as I was. So most of us have stories about what has happened in our experience, how we feel about it. But when you were in the conversation about what happened last night, and you were talking to a person about the truth, was there something there that you wanted to share concerning this idea of truth?
Well, one of the things that we were talking about several different things, which we've already spoken of now, this idea of control. And that in and of itself is a lie. Because the way we were designed, this reality, you have no control over something inside you. And he begins to speak about his father. And how this oh my gosh, my father is the control, manipulates person. And even when I try to keep my boundaries and keep the door shut, he's always trying to bust through. And I said, it's just as bad for your father because of how much energy is taken for him to try to enforce his rule on you, which is stressful and draining. And because you're just going to do what you want to do anyway when you're out of his presence.
I'm so glad you brought up this example, because in my recent example of my father wanting me to be a secretary, this is his will to control me was because of his fear that if I didn't have a job, he'd have to take care of me when I got older. Mm-hmm. So he wanted me, the fear drove him to where he thought I could best manage myself and he wouldn't have to take care of me. So we can look at, what does control mean?
Well, control, as you were just elaborating, is the fear.
Right.
That is fear of whatever the worst case scenario is. That, with the example of your father, clearly that didn't happen.
But the fear remains. And so if we were able to see the truth of the situation, what feels like aggression, which is what feels like we're being pushed around, what feels like people are ignoring our will, it is true, but it's because of fear. It's their own fear. It's the fear of them having to do something, or the fear that they don't think that we will do something because they didn't do something.
Yes.
Like the father thinking, I didn't have the life I wanted. I'm going to make you have the life that I wanted.
Oh, how relatable. So I think many people can relate to that.
And that's the truth of it is that, we can be very compassionate with our families and with our friends and lovers if we can see that normally control is about fear. And then if we can address the fear, because it's very difficult to address something 4 octaves down. Like we got control, we got jealousy, we got resentment, we got all these things. So you're trying to address jealousy, but it really goes back to fear.
Yes.
Fear of being less, fear of not accomplishing, fear of not being who you are. So the idea of truth is about establishing that what you're really dealing with is fear.
Yes. So I'd like to explore this from the person who's on the receiving end of this, who, again, we're talking about the lie, which operating in fear in and of itself is a lie, because that doesn't have to be the reality, but we are convincing ourselves through how we feel and what we think. And so then that's projected on the other. So the person who's on the receiving end of this, who can feel the control, feel, you got to do what I want you to do. What are your thoughts for them in terms of a solution? Because again, I think so many people experience this, and it's not limited to family. No. We experience it in the workplace. I've had countless clients say, oh, my manager or boss is so controlling and mean, and I can't quit because I make such good money. And, they put up with it, but they know it's not right. Mm-hmm. And, but I also see, based on the truth, that it's showing up and there's something in you. Like, what are your thoughts on this?
To me, it's very clear that no one has power over you unless you give it to them, and the way you give it to them is you want something they have.
Oh.
So it's like the mule with the carrot in front of it. Like, come get this money and have this job, and then I'll mistreat you, I'll talk bad to you, I'll talk down to you, and you're like, all right, for the money. So now your part. You have become the lie.
Yeah.
Now you have become, this person is having fear of not being big enough, so they need to make someone smaller to make themselves bigger, which is impossible. You can't make anybody smaller. And no, you don't get bigger if you make them feel bad.
So it's
the lie.
yeah.
It's the lie. And so, but the way that happens in a love affair, it's the same way it happens at work. It's the same way it happens with parents. If you have a lover and they will withhold love from you, if you will not do what they want, you have to look at what is it that they have that you want. Do you want that? You want that withholding love? you want to make sure you're not alone, so you got somebody who can withhold love from you every time they get ready.
Yeah.
Are you ready to let go of the person who wants to withhold love from you?
Be-Bration. We are a universal remedy of support, an ally infused with positive frequencies and biophotonic light particles, intended to return one to the greater whole of one's organic nature. Within our layered structure exists an opportunity for metamorphosis, prompting divine healing energies of light to awaken your original composition, that which has been irritated by inorganic substances through mental, emotional, and physical material. We are navigators, those who operate by way of your conscious thought and directive, exponentially moving to the physical areas of stuck emotion within the body that are in need of restoration. When engaged with us, we identify and mirror the called upon frequencies of lower vibratory notion for it to see itself in transmutation, while awakening that which is dormant to shift into the rectification of optimum balance and functionality.
And that's just the thing. I only see one solution. Step off. Because we can't control the person who's trying to manipulate and coerce us or withhold. But what we can do is control our actions and our response to it. You know what? You keep that. I got enough love. Let me check my reservoir. I got some love. Dang it, I don't need you. Stinking, that ain't even love, matter of fact. Now I can see clearly. Is love really supposed to feel like that?
So there's a lot of ways. I like what you said, this idea of step off is a lot of ways to step off.
Yes. Not just like divorce.
Yes.
There's yes, please.
So when you have a baby, and the baby's in your arms, and you look away from the baby will like, put your face back over here and look at me. That's a normal thing that children do because there's a magnetism in our eyes, and it activates the magnetism in their eyes, and they are activated when we look at them, and it's a real, measurable, scientifically proven situation.
Yes.
So consider whoever your partner is the baby, and you're nourishing them by your attention. Look away.
Ooh, yeah.
And then the magnetism won't be there, and they'll feel the breeze. Like, oh, come on, no, I don't want to come back. So there's a lot of ways to urge people towards more kindness.
Yes.
And urge people to take a moment to feel, what does it feel like when I don't have the attention of the person who I'm not treating well? What happens when their attention is gone? Now there's nobody to see me have my tantrum. What if you leave the room every time we start yelling?
Like, oh, gotta go.
What if you're on the phone and as soon as they break into the thing that's painful, the pain point, you're like, sorry, have to leave.
No excuses either. Just, I gotta go.
No lies.
Yes. You don't have to, I got a call. No, that's gonna make you weak.
Like, there's somebody coming on the door. No, just choose to not have the feelings that are not in your best and highest interest. It doesn't have to be physical or demoralizing. Whatever it is, it doesn't feel good. Don't stand around for it.
I want to distill this down even more, because when I hear it and I see the scenario, so depending on the conditioning and the condition that has been conditioned of the person who's listening to this, they may like, I can't just not allow myself to be abused and be in the presence of the tantrum. But what I saw within the person who steps off is they are embodying honor, respect for self. You know, I honor and respect myself enough to not be in the presence and permit this abuse. Because me staying here is signing off. My silence is the consent.
Or your cussing and acting up and yelling at them is, now you both crazy.
That's right. And take two to tango. You know, tangoing by
now
yourself.
war is afoot. And anything can happen in war. So it is good to have a moment with yourself and draw your lines of honor, respect, and gratitude to self. This is the number one thing that we are teaching and that we will give you as we end the episode today. We will share with you honor, respect, and gratitude because it is most to be cherished. If you feel your morphic field, your thought pattern in your mind and your brain and your bodily experience with honor, respect, and gratitude, it will expand out for you. And then people who come in close to you, let them have, oh, this feels honorable. This person feels like the truth. This person feels trustworthy. This person feels like somebody I could work with. So when you do that, you must first do it to self. You can't scream somebody into honoring you. You can't cuss someone out into being respectful of you. You cannot get gratitude from someone who does not want to give you gratitude. You know, so you give yourself gratitude, you give yourself honor, you give yourself respect, and in that is the truth. That is the truth of the experience humanity should be having. That is the truth of the experience that the divine masculine and the divine feminine should have together, whether they're father, daughter, husband, wife, mother, son, is the experience that we should all have, that we have been, it has been stolen from us. This has been silenced from even our thoughts. We don't even think, I want you. We think, I want alimony. We don't even think I want honor. We think I want the house. We don't even think I want respect. Mm-hmm. We think we want the material things that do not replace the things that have value, that cannot be seen, but can be felt and can change the direction of your life. These are the real aspects. Gratitude is most certainly the currency. I wrote about it in my book called For the Truth, that if you had nothing, if you lived in a world that was deconstructed, let's just say, lived in a world where the banking system might deconstruct. You lived in a world where it might be hard to get food. You lived in a world where building supplies might not be available. But you had each other. And someone gave you something that helped you with one of your children. And what you gave them back was your heartfelt gratitude. Would they receive something? Would that be?
Well, certainly they would.
Yes. And then would they start to develop honor and respect for you for having given them this purity of gift of truth of gratitude?
Yes. We talk about that real gratitude, the one that you feel, oh, I felt the thank you.
Yes.
But that wet noodle gratitude.
Yes. So that this is very important. This is relevant. This speaks to the reality of our experience. This speaks to what is the truth. The truth is honor, respect, and gratitude. And in every situation, we can experience that truth. But we must first give it to ourselves. Are we in honor of what we are? Do you know that you are a divine being that's established in truth, this exquisite cosmic technology that's still standing after all the things they're doing to make us not, you know, all of the carbon footprints we've been trying to get rid of. So when you know that, when you understand that you deserve honor from self, you deserve respect from self, that you have gratitude to all that is that brought that to you, then the other person, it can be communicated to the other person.
These are the gems. This is the truth in which the body, soul, the universe has established, and feel since that you have taken what was the status quo, flip that geometry, flip the way how we've been perceiving the pursuit of the outside and versus the inside out, to influence reality versus control. And that's true. That's power. You know, that pretty much everybody's looking for.
It actually is what everyone's looking for. And the idea that people want the truth may be a misnomer. Because
Well, sure, I don't think they want the truth.
Well, it ultimately, we have to grow to the point where we are really interested in the truth. Because in the state that most people are in various elevations of fear and wanting control and wanting to be in charge of everyone and everything, someone wants to make you do something.
Mm-hmm.
Someone wants to enslave you. They want to imprison you with what they think should be happening. This is really their fear informing them through you, and then how you respond to it is really the truth of the experience.
Yeah, so I want to go back to the conversation with last night when he asked, how do I overcome the lie? Because he goes, my experience, I elevate and I drop back down, and I got to do so much to get myself back up. And I said, you have to constantly be in pursuit of the truth. As much as possible. Calling for the truth regularly in the different interactions that you're having. Go to war with yourself. Find out all the ways you're lying to yourself. Commit, I'm going to say the truth. I'm going to do this, which is a truthful action to replace. I'm going to replace this action with truth, this lie with truth, et cetera, et cetera. But it goes back to what you were saying. Do people really want the truth? And are they willing to do what's necessary to anchor in that reality within themselves so that they can see that reflected back out?
I love what the man asked, is that what should I do? We can get some very actionable steps. The idea of just the truth is in the language. Truth is part of creation as a consciousness that exists independent of what we think of it, that is sentient. If we call on it, it will come to us. It will come. If you go to sleep at night, you're like, I just really want to understand and be true. You do that. The law in this universe is you will get what you call for.
Yes.
And then, so if you want that truth to come, then expect that things will shift.
Mm-hmm.
Don't expect that things are going to stay the same if you've never called for the truth before. Expect that things may expand, and then welcome them with gratitude. Also, a very key point would be to ask yourself to raise yourself up to receive the truth when it comes. You know, ask yourself, like, are we ready for the truth?
Remember that saying, you can't handle the truth. I think we're getting there.
I think that anybody who's at that point who wants the truth and who's ready to ask for it is ready for it. There is this idea, and this is the third idea, there's this idea that correction is needed. Correction was part of creation, the concept, the word, the magic involved to erect you. Correction. It will erect you to have the strength to then be able to say, I want the truth. So you are encouraged to additionally, when you go to sleep at night, just ask for the consciousness of the creation idea of correction to erect you wherever it finds that it needs to make the corrections. And then this is something you can do in your sleep that's not challenging. When you wake up, you have some level of correction. You're more erect. You're more willing to be the truth. You're more willing to stand up against those who are trying to enslave you, or in your own thoughts that enslave you to your own addictions, to eating gummies and getting high and watching porn and all of these things. Correction will help you with that. Then the next thing is to make sure that now that you call for it, that you understand that there is a discipline involved. And I love the story of the man who stopped smoking. So there was a story of a man who was smoking every day and he decided to stop. So he knew he was addicted and he carried a cigarette in his front shirt pocket every day with him. And every time he had the urge, he'd pull out the cigarette and say, no. He'd affirm his position with the cigarette because it's a habit, it's an addiction, it's not going to go away on its own. So then there's this discipline of every time you confront it with someone trying to make you do something, every time you confront it with your own weaknesses, every time you're confronted with something that is not the truth, that you just go along with because our society goes along with it, pull it out and look at it and say, do I want the truth? And then each moment you decide, yes, I want the truth. Put it back in your pocket and keep moving. So those are the 4 things I would recommend in answer to your question.
Very powerful, especially the last one, the guy confronting the thing. And
Yes.
I see so much power. Instead of running away or pretending that you don't have an issue and thinking we're perfect and I don't want to look at it. No, I'm looking at it. I'm not afraid of you.
Yes.
My thought and my will is stronger.
Yes.
Back in my pocket you go.
And you're not cussing another person out. You're not yelling at them. You're not walking away disgusted, throwing your hands up.
It's the decision, the power of the decision.
You walk away stronger, which is where we started. The truth makes you stronger. It erects you. It makes you greater. And of course, it requires some discipline, but it also requires some understanding that you have help. You are not by yourself in creation. We are part of all that exists, and all of it can be called unto a system.
I have something to ask you if you elaborate on before we go, because the thing with discipline, I've had people say, is it ever over? Do I ever stop growing? I have somebody say, is there ever a point where I stop doing self-serve and I'm just there? And say, yes and no. I want you to elaborate on it further, but I'm sharing this concept of we are forever in the process. The mountaintop is infinite. But there are certain things that I have found in my experience where it gets easier, where things that we consider as vices no longer have the pull on us because of the discipline to keep pulling out the cigarette, right? Nope, as much as possible. Nope. And we are informing our field, we're informing our consciousness. And I also see it doesn't have to take a long time, but it also depends on the output, how frequent a person is engaging and catching themselves, or are you one time a week living right and then other 6 days you smoke, right? So do you have any other thoughts to elaborate on this idea about the discipline and how we can kind of conquer the thing?
I think we have to establish what we have decided in our own personal experience is right and what is wrong before we can move into discipline. I think we have to establish what is right and what is wrong. So I'll give you a definition because people often ask me this. And I say, what promotes life is right. What does not promote real life is wrong.
Very simple.
So if you're drinking alcohol to your detriment, that's wrong. Doesn't mean alcohol is wrong. If you're drinking it to your detriment, it's wrong. If you're smoking and eating contaminated gummies and processed food and microwaving things, that is not in response to life. So once you establish it, then you're not confused, because it's very easy when you don't have that baseline. It's very easy to say, well, this time, I'll eat it this time, I'll drink it this time, or I'll perform this behavior this time, or I'll go on the internet and look at porn for 3 hours this time. But if you think does that promote life? Does that make you greater? Do you feel better? Does that make you feel strong? This is this idea you're established in truth. So what you do should, when you tell the truth, you give someone something, you feed the hungry or you clothe the naked, you feel strong because it supports life. When you help a baby turtle crawl across the road, you're operating in your design, in your divine design. When you help a person who cannot give you anything, they can't write on Facebook about you, they don't have no money for you, they don't have no job, but you do something about that, and how do you feel when you do that? That's that is the exaltation that we all need to live in all the time. So the disciplining is not really a disciplining. When you think of it, should I drink this whiskey? Does this support life? Did I eat any dinner? Is this my fourth drink? Does this support my life? When you can look at it and say, no, and put it back, we're making progress. So that's everything. That's your girlfriend, that's your mama, that's, everything. Like, are you supporting life? Am I listening to something that uplifts me or disgusts me? And then am I holding on to it for fear that I won't have something else that I can replace it with? The decision must be made in the discipline, but the discipline cannot be established until you can identify what you're looking at.
It's a major key.
So no, it doesn't solve all the problems of the world, but it is a baseline. If it supports your life, then let it be life. If it supports the life of your children, then let it be that. To support, however you need to, but use that as your baseline, because if it doesn't support life, if it is anti-life, it is anti-you. Yes. And you now are suicidal. You are now in self-sabotage. You are now destroying your life and the life of all those who come after you.
I feel like it would be great to do the podcast on to go deeper to the idea of anti-life, because most of the things that we engage with, we don't associate as anti-life. Yes. It goes back to what's right and what's wrong, and how we think that certain things are right for us, but in reality, it's not.
This is a big question. I get this a lot, where people are confused because everything has become fuzzy.
Yeah, but if you use the measurement of life is so simple, but we overcomplicate it. If we're looking at the measurement of, does this give me life? Does this take away from life?
Yes.
Well, everything becomes simple. Yes. Whether you're dealing with people or your own habits and choices, what you consciously engage with, music, food, etc. It's a universal measurement tool.
It also answers the question that we started with, is what is the truth?
Well, then.
It answers that question too, yeah. Which is why no one brought it full circle.
Yes.
So we have the call for the truth cards. Would you like to pull the cards? So these are the call for truth cards that give us information from the dimensional world. And I'm going to give these cards to Tarvars, and he will shuffle them and pull a card based on a question he has in his mind that he will share with us and tell us what the card says for today's session.
Asking to see the truth as it relates to releasing the lie and adhering to truth. It's a lot of truth. But then these cards.
Use the cards. It's a hard sending cards.
Like just ripped up the bottom because they're like hugging it.
So the call for truth cards are the companion to the Call for Truth book that is my most recent book. So this is the companion. When you get the book, you also buy the deck of cards so that you can have these experiences.
Okay, so the theme today is fear. It's with the root chakra. What you fear, you draw near. And I think this speaks profoundly to what we're speaking of with the idea of how the lie or fear, some people know the fear acronym, false evidence appearing real, which is a lie, and how it weakens the stability, the base, the root chakra, that's your foundation. Everything's shooken up. Right. Root chakra, life and death. you move in an opposite direction when you lean into the fear. And of course, the magnetism of you pull that in, more of what you're calling for.
So I love the call for truth cards, and thank you very much. And we are so glad that you joined us. We look forward to you joining us again. We'd like to greet you in the greetings of In Lacash and Veritas, which means oneness and truth, with honor, respect, and gratitude. Thank you.